First, a songwriting legend from Boone County. Earlier this month, Billy Edd Wheeler was inducted into the West Virginia Music Hall of Fame, along with 9 others. Even if you haven't heard of him, you've certainly heard of his music. His songs include Jackson, made famous by Johnny and June Carter Cash, Coward of the County, and Coal Tattoo. Suzanne Higgins spoke to Billy Edd Wheeler on the day of the Hall of Fame ceremony. He discussed how West Virginia never left him and is especially reflected in his work.
Oh, can't you see that pretty little bird singing with all his heart and soul?
He's got a blood red spot on his wing, and all the rest of him's black as coal.
What is it about growing up in West Virginia that has influenced your songwriting?
I think the mountains themselves and the people. I learned my first guitar chords at High Coal, West Virginia, where I grew up. And I remember Gene Green was the name of the man that showed me some of my first guitar chords. He was a coal miner. And he could sing like Eddie Arnold. I'm telling you, he could yodel. He was a great singer. And then I lived with my granddad and grandmother for a little while over in Estdale in Kanawha County. And a man named Carl West there showed me some guitar chords. So I left West Virginia to go to school, but West Virginia never left me. Everything I write is influenced by the people I've known and the experiences I had in West Virginia.
You're not only a songwriter, but you're a poet, a novelist, a playwright. Do you think of yourself first and foremost as a songwriter?
Oh, yes.
Do you?
Yeah. I studied playwriting at Yale, but I knew early on I'm not going to make any money writing plays, and I'm not going to get famous writing plays, or novels, or poetry. People don't buy a lot of poetry.
But you knew you were a writer. You knew you were a storyteller.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's the key word. I like to tell stories. Mm-hmm. But what I'm driving at, though, is that my songwriting, which is pretty much a hobby, I don't even know how to write music. I make it up and I hear it, but my songwriting has enabled me to do all these other things. My wife can vouch for this, that we would be broke if we had to live on my playwriting, my poetry. I paint pictures, I sell a few pictures, but we'd be eating beans for breakfast, beans for supper, beans for lunch. But thank goodness for the songs that, yeah, we've had a pretty good life.
Oh, the interstate is a-coming through my outhouse. They tell me I'm on there right away. I'll sell today and I'll get rich, but my path will end at the highway ditch. I'm making my last visit there today.
We can assume you're a little bit of a ham and like the audience and like the crowd and like performing.
Yeah, I think I've got a little P.T. Barnum in me. I think to get up on stage and do stuff, you have to have a little bit of ham in you. And you have to like to entertain, I think. And I've always liked that.
Tell us about starting to get published and artists were starting to pick those up.
Well, my first song, I wrote it when I got to Berea College. That's in Berea, Kentucky. Red Foley was a big country music artist. And Pat Boone, who was really hot at the time, was married to, I think her name was Shirley. But I knew Betty, who was married to a boy named Bentley Cummins, a local car salesman. So I had written this song. I took the old boll weevil song and made it a rock song. The boll weevil lamb, a little black bug, come from Mexico, then what? Come all the way from Texas, looking for a place to rock. He had to rock boll weevil, rock, boll weevil, head to rock. Lost my cotton crop, 'cause that weevil had to rock. And Pat Boone recorded it. So that was my first big commercial recording. And I'm telling you, I didn't care if I ever got a penny for it, but somebody would come to the alumni office, and by then I think I was the alumni director. They said, "Billy Edd, your song's on the radio." And I'd run out to the car, turn on the radio, and there it was on the radio. What a thrill to hear something that you made up being performed and all the world's listening to it. That was a big thrill. It took a long time after that to really get into the mainstream of songwriting. I did a little album while I was at Berea College. It's called Billy Edd USA. And there was a man who came down to the college at a Christmas country dance school. And he heard me sing, and he said, "You ought to have a record of your own. You want to make a record?" And I said, "Yeah." So I did a tape, and he took it back to New York and got it put on Monitor Records. And I bet it didn't sell 500 copies in New York. Well, there was a lady married to a songwriter named Norman Gimbel. He would later write Killing Me Softly with his song, and he wrote one called Bluesette. He wrote for Tony Bennett. I mean, he was big time. His wife picked up that album. I don't know why. She was on her way to model. She was a beautiful lady. So she took that home, and he listened to it. And when I met him, by accident, he said, "Billy Edd, my wife is in love with you." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, she got your record, and she really likes it." And he said, "And I think it's pretty good, too." But said, "You're a natural songwriter. You write songs just the way people breathe, but you'll never make any money at it." I said, "Well, man, you just built me up, and then you knocked me down." "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you just write them as they come out. You don't shape them. And there are too many themes in any one song." I said, "Well, Norman, how do I get better?" He said, "Let me take you to a couple of guys I know who make more money in music than anybody in the world, including Rodgers and Hammerstein. Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller." And at the time, they were producing Elvis, Peggy Lee, the Coasters, the Drifters. I mean, these guys were mega, mega big. They said, "Well, listen to a song. First of all, what it's about. There's only one theme in a song. What are the first words? And then how's it developed? And how's it end? I mean, just think about it." I said, "Okay, I will."